Well, I feel like we need a drum roll because this is the very first podcast for HomeWord with Jim Burns, and I am so excited that you are a part of this. Just delighted you're listening to this. Today, we're going to be talking about have serious fun in your marriage. And guess what? Even if you're not married, it's important to know this kind of content. Years ago, when I was actually writing my PhD dissertation, I did traits of a healthy family. That's what I studied. And I was shocked at one of the number one traits, and it was play, fun, laughter. And I just didn't see that. I didn't even think about that. So again, pretty crazy. But today we're going to talk about this in a big way. And I've heard people even say the couple that prays together stays together. And by the way, I believe that. But also the couple that plays together, I believe stays together. And I'll just tell you, we have a chance to get Ted Cunningham. We had for a first guest, there was no one else I wanted. I was going to wait for Ted, and I'm so excited to have Ted Cunningham with me today. He's the pastor of Woodland Hills Family Church in Branson, Missouri. He is also on the date night comedy tour, and I guess that means he's funny. You'll have to decide if he is or not. Ted serves also as a lead marriage coach for the American Association of Christian Counselors. He's written some great books. And today we're going to have a conversation about a book that he's written that I love. And it's called A Love That Laughs. He's married to the wonderful, beautiful Amy Cunningham, and they've got 2 children. Amy laughs at his jokes still because I sat behind her once. The 2 kids smirk. Okay. Ted, thanks so much for being with us. I am so happy that you are with us. I'm so pleased.
Well, you are happy and I am honored. This is a treat for me. Thanks for having me.
Well, so good. I want to get right into it. You have a quote that actually is one of my favorite quotes, and it's a quote by Leonard Sweet. But it says this, it says, and it's in your book, A Love That Laughs, it says, for a marriage to sing and dance, for 2 people to make beautiful music together, they need to play, not work at their marriage. Now, in your book, you said, choose laughter, fun, and attention over hard work. A lot of people talk about work hard at your marriage. You're saying choose laughter, fun, and attention. Talk about that.
Yeah, so we all teach the principle that what was natural early on needs to be intentional later on. And laughter early on in a marriage, in a relationship, in dating, engagement, all that is easy. It's like breathing. But as the years go on and duty and responsibility kick in, you find yourself letting those moments slip by. You don't look for it anymore. When you do see it, you don't point it out. And, it's why most all of the, online dating sites, people check the box at the top that says, I'm looking for someone with a sense of humor. I'm wanting someone who's going to live on the lighter side of life. That doesn't mean they're going to tell me jokes every day, but they're able to, laugh at themselves and invite me in. And so I just think that's like breathing early on. And after you've been married a few decades, you got to get back to being intentional with it. And that's just a much better word for me than telling people, and especially young people, marriage is hard. It's difficult. It's painful. It's going to suck the life right out of you.
Right.
So
it's interesting you said that. I remember a wonderful woman who actually lives in Colorado now, but she was a writer for me when I was on doing the radio show, and she got engaged. And when she walked into my office and told me she was engaged, I gave her a hug. I said, I am so excited for you. It's so great.
mm-hmm.
And she started to cry. And I said, why are you crying? She goes, because for the last 2 days, everybody just looks at me and goes, it's so hard. That's
sure?
not what you want to
really
say to somebody who just got engaged. Yeah, exactly. That's what she was getting. So, I totally get that. Now, there may be a person listening that says, yeah, easy for you to talk about laughter, but, my husband, my wife, they're grumpy, they're crabby, they're negative, and we don't have a lot of fun in our marriage. What do you do if that person wants that, but they don't think they can get it from their spouse?
I hear it all the time after events. I'm not funny. I don't walk on the lighter side. Life's too serious and I've been through too much. But there's that moment where I feel like you kind of crack the shell a little bit to where they go, but I do need to find it in this season. We always think that this season or stage of life, we can't enjoy it, but it awaits us in the next one. We'll find joy and laughter and fun in the next one. And it's like, no, it's in this one. You just got to mine for the nuggets. Like you have to go after it. And again, I'm not talking about turning every spouse into a comedian. My desire is that when you say something dumb, do something stupid, you're able to shake your head and go, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I said that, and roll with it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. I remember a time years ago with Kathy and I, probably at the beginning of our marriage, and we had been in a pretty intense discussion. Is that what you call it? If it's an argument, but you don't want to call it an argument. But we've been in a pretty intense discussion in the bed, and beds are not for that. It's for sleeping and doing other stuff that we'll talk about. And, uh, and for some reason, something hit us funny and we started laughing. And it was a giggle craze. And then the next thing I knew, you know what? We weren't even mad at each other anymore. We'd
Yeah.
had this connection. And sometimes it's even going and playing. I find that a lot of times if people just say, hey, let's go to a comedy and watch a movie that's a comedy. If we like tennis, go play tennis. If you like to go for a walk, go for a walk. But having intentional times of doing that really can sometimes, break a closed spirit. You talk in your book about, well, in some ways, what you're saying is it's the mental benefits, the relational benefits, emotional benefits, even physical benefits of laughter. Talk about that in terms of a couple.
Yeah. So the first one I always like to point out is that laughter helps us learn. It's why you and I use humor when we speak. We just know if you can get someone laughing, they're going to absorb a little bit more. When I was, at home with a 3 and a 5-year-old, I'm an empty nester now, but a 3 and a 5-year-old, I didn't pull a whiteboard into the kitchen and start charting out books of the Bible to teach them deep truths. We
Right.
got on the floor and you
Right.
played Legos with them, or played house with your daughter, so that's what laughter is for adults. We got to remember that it's play. It allows us to just loosen up a little bit. It also helps us cope. That's a big benefit. And we can go through difficult seasons and stages. But I love that quote by Henry Ward Beecher that says, a person without a sense of humor is like a wagon without springs, jolted by every pebble on the road. Good humor makes all things tolerable.
No,
And
that is good.
yeah, and it helps us put some of the more serious or pressing issues in life on the back burner for a little bit. I'm not telling you get rid of them. They're still going to be there, but there are moments we have to choose to set that aside to reduce stress and tension, and laughter is a great escape from that.
Yeah, and I think it brings what you said in your book. It brings connection, and sometimes we need connection, which sometimes laughter can do. That really information doesn't
Right.
connect.
Right.
Talk about
Yeah.
that. You mentioned that in your book, talking about the difference between information and connection.
Yeah. Well, we know that your mind can tell the difference between fake and real laughter, but your body can't. So all those great physical benefits. Vanderbilt University says you can burn up to 40 calories with 10 to 15 minutes of hearty laughter. So I tell people skip your workout and just go watch a comedy, together. But what happens is, and I
Thank you, by the
encourage,
way. I'm going to go do
yeah,
that now instead of going to the work. I worked out today, but I'm going to instead go see a
and
comedy.
think
That's a
and
lot
think what
better way
happen.
to lose.
Think of what could happen if you do both. You work out
Yeah,
and you walk on the lighter side. But your
yes.
mind can tell the difference. Your body can't. And so, my wife all the time. I say in the book, and I encourage all wives to do this. The next time your husband says something that's funny, that he thinks is funny, and you don't think it's funny, fake it. Fake it. Let your body reap all the benefits of that laughter, because it's just that it's a bond. It bonds us together. Yakov Smirnov, my Russian comedian friend here in Branson, says laughter is a universal language. We all laugh in the same language. You walk in a room and people are laughing, you don't even have to know what was said or
Right.
done. You just start
Yeah.
moving toward it, because that's
Yeah.
how it bonds us together.
Hey, isn't that true? When I've done things online I thought it was really funny, but I didn't have any idea if anybody thought it was funny because, I was just talking to myself, so to speak. And then when I'm with a group of people and I say the same thing and they all laugh, I went, "Oh, I guess that was funny." But we laugh because others are laughing sometimes too.
Yeah, that's why you mentioned
Yeah.
during the pandemic when people are like, can you do a Zoom comedy thing for my group?" And I'm like, You don't know how comedy works.
Right.
Better in a room, better live."
I'm sitting here in Southern California today at 73 degrees. You're in Branson, Missouri, where it's not always like this in Branson because Branson's so amazing, but it's kind of snowy, hail. I guess it's rainy and
It's
hail.
not always like this.
But
Tornado, hail,
yeah, exactly.
tsunami. Yeah.
Yeah, we're wondering if this is actually going to keep going in terms of even us being able to do it. But you are the pastor of a man who was a mentor to me, major mentor to you, much more. You wrote books with him. His name is Gary Smalley. One of the things I learned from Gary Smalley, but I know you wrote with him and lived life with him, he always talked about in a relationship, you need emotional safety. expand on that. You talked about it in your book, but I'd love to. I think some people don't feel like they have emotional safety.
Yeah. So he called it judgment free zones.
Mm, mm,
And I need to be able to listen to your opinions and feelings without seeing them as an attack on mine.
yeah, yeah,
And when I listen to you, it doesn't mean I agree with you. It means
yeah,
you're valuable and you're worth my
yeah.
time
Right.
and your feelings matter. That's way
Yeah,
different than I agree with you.
yeah.
And
It's good.
I wish our country, to be honest with you, could get back to this.
Yeah,
Listening to you doesn't mean I agree with you. Disagreeing with you
yeah.
doesn't mean I hate you. I just
Right,
have a
right.
difference of opinion. And in an emotionally safe relationship, I can
Yeah,
share what I'm thinking and feeling without fear of you fixing me, correcting me,
yeah,
judging me, telling me my feelings don't matter. And
yeah,
Gary was the master at that. He could
yeah,
listen
yeah.
to people. And I always, many people walked away from conversations with Gary thinking, well, he's on the same page with me.
Right.
No, he doesn't agree with you. He was
No.
just a safe person.
Yeah, yeah. Somebody once said listening is the language of love, and really, that's the way we show love. I find that with my wife, Kathy. She doesn't want me to fix her,
Yeah.
I wanted to fix her for the first 5, 6, 10 years of our marriage. And one day, I said, "Do you want me to kind of give you the answer, or do you just want me to give you a hug?" And she
Mm,
goes, "I'd rather have a hug."
mm,
And
yeah.
that shocked me because I'm wait, people pay me to give them advice, and now all you want is a hug,
Yeah.
right? But that is, it's such a major factor. And emotional safety, I'm finding more and more as I do some marriage conferences that people come up to me and they'll basically say, I don't feel emotionally safe.
Mm,
And they need to learn how to communicate. I was with a mentor of mine. His name is Neil Clark Warren. He's actually the founder of eharmony.com. And we went to the same grad school, and he's quite a bit older than me, and I'm old. But one day I was in his office. I was doing some work with him on talking about eHarmony. And we were talking about communication. And I assumed that communication was kind of what we just inherited. So Kathy communicates like her mom. I communicate like my dad. If those two would have married, it would have never worked. And he said, wait, communication is a learned trait. And that was a game changer for me, Ted, because I realized that no, I can learn how to communicate more effectively. So if I don't feel emotionally safe, there are ways to have that conversation. And
mm,
it's not necessarily, tell them how wrong they are, but it's actually learn some of the, communication skills. And I actually felt in your book, you gave amazing nuggets of communication. I just thought that was so key. And one of the things kind of dealing with communication is you said a phrase that kind of blew my mind. I loved it. You said, enjoy your spouse's differences. Because, it's funny. I was attracted to Kathy with her differences. I'm extrovert. She's an introvert. I'm less detailed than her. She would say less responsible, but she's not here to say that. But fascinating enough, what I heard you saying is, no, we have to embrace these differences and actually even kind of begin to enjoy them. So you gave an illustration. You said that Amy likes massage and you're not a massage guy. Am I right?
yeah. Oh, my worst experience ever was a couples massage in Southern California. It broke me. It broke me down, and that was it. That was it. I won't ever have another one. It was so awkward, and she loved it. She's
Yeah.
stretching and oohing and on, and I'm just praying, Lord, get this thing over with as quickly as possible. Not my thing, not my thing,
Yeah.
but it's her thing, and that's
Yeah.
what I know. A lot of couples, and you'll hear it all the time. They'll separate, drift, divorce, and say we don't have anything in common anymore. Well, according to Philippians chapter 2, taking interest in other people's interests, that's more important than sharing common interests. Like for you to light up at your spouse's interest and get involved and ask
Yeah.
questions and
Right.
find out what really
Right.
makes them tick. That's what makes it fun. And the whole book is centered around finding your shared sense of humor. So
Yeah.
for Amy and I, what works for us doesn't work for every couple because it's going to be different for every
Yes.
single couple.
Yeah.
But
It's good.
I know her and I know her differences and I know how to use appropriate humor with
Yeah.
appropriate timing
Yeah.
to call those
Right.
out.
Yeah.
And we know that couples who use laughter to work through difficult conversations and manage stress not only
Yeah.
report higher levels of marital satisfaction, but they stay together longer. I mean, the
No, that's right.
quality of
Right.
their marriage is better. So don't see the differences as negative. See the
Yeah.
differences as now I get to live in curiosity and fascination. What does one
Yeah. I
of our
love it.
friends say? over the course of your marriage, you're going to be married to 5 to 7 different people.
So
So
good.
you think you're different now. Wait till you're empty
Yeah.
nesters. Then
Yeah.
wait till there's a health crisis. Then
Yeah.
wait till, some tragedy hits you. I mean, we're always
Yeah.
changing. And so
Yeah.
we're always learning.
Yeah, and just not just personally. This is going to be on YouTube on our HomeWord YouTube channel. And Kathy married me. I had long blonde hair at my shoulders, and you can see now a bald headed
No,
guy. So
you
even that
did.
changed. I did.
No, you did.
I keep that picture in my office just so people can see that I actually had a beard and long hair and looked a little bit like Jesus. I didn't act like Jesus, but I looked a little bit like Jesus. Here's something that I've tweeted many times, and it's from you, and I've just stolen it for you, and then I tweeted. I give you the credit, but you say every marriage is a duet in need of great backup singers.
Mm.
What does that mean?
Yeah. So it's someone who rejoices, delights, and praises your love.
Hmm.
I love the songs. It's Solomon and the Shulamite woman's duet, and the Daughters of Jerusalem are the backup singers. The reason that works, and we kind of came up with that in Branson, Missouri, because we're a kind of live country music capital of the
Yeah,
world,
yeah,
and we just want people coming alongside you. You have enough jaded coworkers, jaded friends on Facebook that are not going to rejoice and delight in your marriage.
right,
And it's an
right.
activity I take couples through all the time in counseling or coaching. I have them write down individually
Mm,
all of the voices of influence in their marriage. Anybody
yeah,
speaking into it, family, coworkers, all of your
yeah,
circle of influence. Then I bring it together and I say, let's go through it one at a time, figure out who we need to turn down or mute
yeah,
altogether, and then let's
mm,
figure out who we need to turn up. And
yeah,
I find in a lot of cases it's a mother in law, a father in law.
mm,
And I'm not telling you to cut them out of your life, but you have to decide as a couple.
yeah.
Yes, we'll go to gatherings, but my mom, your mom,
Yeah,
not going to be a voice of
it's
influence,
really good.
not going to be a backup singer.
Yeah. It's interesting. I use a term, initials VDP, and VDP means very draining people. And we have very draining people, and they're going to come all around us, right?
Yeah.
Or VIP, very inspiring people. And
Mm.
what I find is I have to go after the inspiring people. Kathy and I need to give somebody a call and say, hey, maybe not this week, but in a couple of weeks, could we do dinner together or whatever it is? I've been in a small group for 23 years. These are my VIPs, and I
Yeah.
have a better marriage, and I'm a better parent. I'm a better Christ follower because of these 23 years of these guys speaking into my life. They're my VIPs, and we have a couples group that meets. Oh, we probably meet 6 times a year, and we laugh, we have fun, we eat. It's not a formalized prayer group or something like that, but we've all known each other for years and years and years, gone on vacation together. And you know what? I'll watch what the other husbands do, and I'll say, wow, I could do that. I should
Mm.
do that,
Yeah.
and I'll see how the women have a certain need or whatever it is. And I think I can do that to Kathy. And so I learned by being around those people. So I think you're really right. I don't think we, especially here in America, and I know there's people outside of America who are listening to this right now, but people here in America, I don't think we lean into that enough. We're so busy.
Yeah. And we think that just because it's someone we have a good time with, they can be a backup singer. That's a good place to
Yeah,
start, someone you have something in common
yeah,
with. But it
right,
really is this focusing on this word, being intentional. We need
yeah,
to invite them in, and they invite us in. Our
right,
dearest friends
right,
are our backup singers. They actually live in Virginia now. They're with the State
yeah,
Department, and
yeah,
but they're our go-to couple. Our text thread is
yeah,
like life to us. We
yeah,
vacation together. We spend
yeah,
several times a year together, and I tell couples, you don't need a choir. You
yeah.
just need a couple of great backup singers.
No, that is so good, and it is today. We have to work on it if you have backup singers who don't live in your community, but it really is possible to do. Yeah. It's very good. And plus for you, in case you get in trouble, you got a friend now at the State Department. So that's a good thing for you.
Got passport problems.
Exactly. Exactly.
So the daily delay is 15 to 20 minutes of distraction-free, kid-free, tech-free time. It's like eyeball to eyeball, body to body. And it can be like a little business meeting. Amy is usually up before I am every day, and I get into the sunroom around 6 a.m. and she's rocking back and forth with a yellow pad, excited to get our business meeting started. And she'll say, Don't worry about taking notes. I'll just send this in an email later, but I'd like to start by going over the minutes from yesterday's meeting. So she's very serious about the daily delay. And you can talk about kids and budgets and work. I mean, the serious stuff, because that protects the weekly withdrawal, which is the date night. The date night is, getting out of the house. You don't have to spend a lot of money, but it's about de-stressing and communicating and unwinding. We tell people, keep it light, keep it fun. Try something new. If you've never roller skated together as a couple, find your roller skating rink in town and get after it. You'll find that nothing has changed about the roller skating rink in the last 30 years. Still Trans Am's parked out front, blaring Def Leppard. And that guy, remember that guy, Jim, with the
Yeah.
headband?
Yeah.
And he's still there. He's in his 70s, but he never left. So keep date night fun, and then the annual abandon. That's getting out of town. 2-3 days a year. Plan it. And here's what we know about all these times that's so important. Anticipation is just as important as the time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
plan your date a few days before you go so you can think about it and you can reap all
Yeah.
those benefits. Plan your annual abandon a few months before you go so you can reap all of those benefits.
Yeah.
And when we prioritize quality couple time,
Mm-hmm.
it's a
Right.
signal to our kids, to our family, to
Yeah.
our friends, our marriage is important.
Yeah. That's so good. You pretty much lost me at 6 a.m. My
Yeah.
wife at 6 a.m. I'm not even sure if she likes God. And so you lost me at that. No, actually, I find if people would do what you just described, I honestly think their marriages would be better. I've never met anyone. Now maybe there is, but I've never met anybody that does what you just said to do and actually has a marriage that's on the rocks
Yeah.
because they're putting time and energy into it.
And it's the same thing
Love
we
it.
said about laughter at the beginning. It's
Yeah.
what was natural early on, you have to be intentional with later on. You never have to look at a newlywed couple and ask them, are you guys spending enough time together?
Right.
They're
Right.
spending plenty of time. But
No,
after
they are.
you've been married a bit, you got to
Yeah.
prioritize it.
Right. And they're having fun. And
Yep.
and there are seasons of life where it's not all that fun. My daughter Heidi has a 4-month-old, and it's not a fun time for her. I mean, she's
Yep.
up every night, and Matt's working and she's working and they're juggling this and that. That's not a good time. But even in the midst of that, even in young marriages, they've got to prioritize and going out on a date. And that's not when you talk about insurance, and that's not when you talk about the other things. You court each other, you have fun, like
Yeah.
like you said.
Insurance.
Yeah.
I've not added
Yeah.
that to the list. I won't talk about that either.
We've Yeah. Well, Kathy always likes to talk about insurance. So, that's not
And
something I
making
want to
sure
talk
you
about.
have enough. Is that what it is?
Exactly. And that worries me because, I think she knows that 70-year-old guy at the roller skating rink, and she's afraid he might shoot me someday. And so then she needs, the insurance
I've never
policy
thought
to be.
about that. The guy that has to go, honey, why are we talking about life insurance so much? Why is this a constant conversation in our marriage?
Well, here's another line in your book that absolutely grabbed my attention. You said, don't get a divorce, get a donut. You better unpack that one for me.
You know where that comes from? Well, one, I
No.
had a grandma that taught us, food can solve any problem. You gather around a table and start eating. No one fights over food. You enjoy it. Pie, cake, hers with Dunkin' Donuts. That's actually on a sign in a donut shop in Burbank, California.
Wow.
Don't get a divorce, get a donut. And I actually have taught that enough. I've had divorce attorneys come up to me and say, I now take a box of donuts into mediation. And I cannot tell you, just you get it. You walk in a room and you
Yeah.
see a box of donuts, it changes
Right.
your whole attitude.
Yeah.
And he says, it changes how the meeting starts, how it goes, how it ends. And so we can bring food into it all day long.
Yeah. What's interesting is this conversation we've had is really about being intentional, about laughing, enjoying each other. And it's what we started with. It's a choice.
Yeah. Marital satisfaction. You'll never find it online. No test will ever point you in the right direction. You
Right.
have to choose it every day.
Right. Right. And when we do, it really does make a difference. Ted, thank you so much for being on our very first podcast. We need a drum roll. We're so excited that you were with us. Incredible insight. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Jim.
Yeah, we could have talked so much longer. I want you back. Definitely. I want to encourage everybody to go out and pick up love that laughs. I actually enjoyed it so much. I wrote Ted and just said, hey, I'm just enjoying this. I'm laughing while I'm reading this. And it was just so good. And get his other stuff too. It's great stuff. Hey, before I let you go, let me just make a couple of comments. Let me ask a question to you. How's the fun factor in your life? How's the fun factor in your marriage? How's the fun factor in your family? I think a lot of times when we look at the fun factor, because today for most of us, there's stress and there's problems and there's pain and there's so many things going on that we don't lean into fun. And I think we're really missing the mark. The Bible says a cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. Another way of saying it, this is Proverbs 17:22, is a cheerful heart is good medicine, but a broken spirit zaps a person's strength. And you don't want that. And I'm not talking about just, fake happiness. And I'm not talking about not dealing with the issues, but I'm saying lean into fun. That's going to make a difference. Laughter is often the missing piece to a good relationship. And many times if I'll ask people, do you guys have fun together? Do you ever laugh together? And they say no, then that is one of the major missing pieces. Are there other pieces? Of course there are. There's other types of intimacy, but if they're missing laughter, they're missing a big thing. Play, fun, laughter, all can open up a closed spirit. So if you are in a relationship right now and with your spouse, with your kids, and there's a closed spirit, go out and have some fun. Don't just talk about the issue. Don't go knee to knee. You're going to have to sometimes deal with some of the issues, but you know what? Right now, the thing to do is go and have some fun. Play, laughter. It's the glue that can keep a family together. It's the glue that can keep a marriage together. Play, fun, laughter builds memories, and it oftentimes reduces stress. So put your energy there, and I think you'll see a big difference. So anyway, that's what I'm hoping happens, is that you'll lean into the aspect of having some serious fun in your life and also in your marriage. And thanks so much for listening today. We're so grateful. Again, podcast number 1, and we're going to have a lot of great episodes with some amazing people just like Ted. Right before we go, I simply want to say my deep, heartfelt thanks to Cindy Ward for putting together our podcast studio. You can only see part of it here, but it's a great studio, and she made that happen, as well as Kelly, Elijah, who really had something to do. They're here in the studio with me right now. And then the amazing producer, Mike Segovia in Colorado. So appreciative of him. Until next time, I'm Jim Burns, and I'm so happy you were here. And I hope that you lean into fun in your marriage, in your family, because it's going to make a difference. Thanks so much.